Welcome, racers. This is the pre-race show for round number 2 of the Downhill Southeast series at Ride Rock Creek, and I'm here with Nico Mullally to get the scoop on everything you can expect for the race weekend. Nico, how's it going on this dreary Friday afternoon?
It's going good. Excited to have the race coming to Rock Creek next weekend. And yeah, I've been laid up with a little injury. Well, more than a little injury. I broke my pelvis at Windrock at the Tennessee National, and I'm 2 weeks exactly today out from that now. So everything's going really well. Surgery went well. First
Great.
week was pretty painful, but that's all in the past now. So now just time to transition from discomfort to boredom for the next couple weeks. But I'm doing well. Thank you.
Good, good. That's great to hear. And well, we know you won't be bored at the race next weekend. I think the question on everybody's mind is, how are you going to get around the venue? Are you going to be riding the excavator? Are you going to be in the gator?
Well, I don't think I'm there yet. I'm going to be crutching around. Luckily,
Oh,
I
okay.
I don't
That's good.
have I don't have any real job to do. Like I would normally be racing. So
Yeah,
um, my involvement with the Downhill Southeast is more so in the planning in advance, and we have a really good team that runs the race during the weekend. So they're used to me being useless during the weekend while I'm riding my bike. So being a little bit disabled with the injury, I think it'll be a normal experience. I'll just be there to enjoy the race and help where I can.
awesome. Well, yeah, I mentioned that it's a little dreary today, but we've got a whole nother week before race weekend settles in, and this is a brand new venue for Downhill Southeast proper, Ride Rock Creek. So tell us a little bit about the venue and, yeah, what folks can expect if this is their very first time to Ride Rock Creek.
Yeah, so we opened up Ride Rock Creek in December of 2022. So it's only been about 4 or 5 months now since we've been open. Um, we opened the Canuga Bike Park in 2020, and me and my partner Dave Lamond had a lot of success with that. There was a lot of people coming out and riding, and more than I expected, people were excited about having a bike park. And Canuga's pedal access. So I always wanted a downhill park. I'm a downhill racer, and we
For sure.
found this awesome property just 20 minutes south of Canuga to build the bike park at Ride Rock Creek. And the terrain is very similar to other places in the area. It actually backs up to DuPont. I think it's only like a mile from the top of the mountain. So it's kind of that sandy clay dirt, really nice property. And more so than the terrain, it's set up really well to have big events. We own 40 acres of pasture land down at the base of the mountain. It's rare to find a venue to have
Wow.
a downhill race, but also have a ton of parking. I think we've seen that with other places in the past. It's tough to have all
Hmm.
the infrastructure, and it's just a really nice property in general. There's a really nice pond right next to the finish line. Um, there's a ton of open space, common area for people watching, spectating to hang out. So it's a beautiful property. The bike park is going to be open all weekend for free riding. So anybody who wants to come out to the race, Thursday through Sunday, the bike park will be open. And yeah, the race courses will obviously be closed for racers
Hmm.
only. But aside from that, there's I think 4 other lines that people can ride through the weekend. So yeah, I think people can expect to have spectating and some riding for themselves if they want to come out for the weekend.
I was thinking about the venue, and obviously we were there for the test event in November, and there were some pretty darn good tacos on site. Are we going to have any food available on site for folks to kind of plan their weekend around?
Yeah, we have the same taco vendor who's going to be out.
Nice.
So he'll be there. I know Callie had reached out to a few other food trucks, so I'm not sure in addition to that, but I know that one was confirmed. And then we have some snacks in the bike shop as well, like trail snacks. And normally we have sandwiches in there every weekend through one of the local sandwich shops in Hendersonville. We partner with them at Canuga and Rock Creek, and we stock our fridge every Friday with subs for the weekend. So we'll have, yeah, normal stuff like that, and hopefully a couple more food vendors.
Nice. Good to know. I've been thinking about those tacos, and the announcer will accept tacos. So just putting that out there for everybody. Well, let's talk a little bit about the schedule coming up for the race next weekend. There were some tweaks for this year that seemed to go off pretty well. at TTC. Is that what folks can expect at the Rock Creek ground?
Yeah, so I try to keep the schedule the same for throughout the year. Only make small tweaks when necessary if it's specific to a venue, and the schedule worked, I thought, really well over at TTC. I just made one small change to it going into this weekend. We had at TTC, it's not a bike park, so there was nothing going on Thursday at the mountain. So we left a little window for track walk at TTC on the Friday, whereas the bike park being open at Rock Creek on Thursday, people want to get out and walk the track ahead of time, they can do that on Thursday. And
Nice.
as long as you're not riding your bike, like the Thursday ticket's not included with the race. If you want a free ride that day, you'll pay your own ticket. But if you're signed up for the race, you can get the shuttle up just to walk the track for free. So I took out that track walk on Friday, and then that gave us an hour of extra time to split between the two practice sessions. So
Nice.
the two practice sessions will be a little longer. Group A, which is the Cat 1 and Pro, is going to be 8 to 12:30, so they'll be the first half of the day, and then 12:30 to 5 will be the BC. All the Cat 2, 3 riders will be combined in the afternoon. And yeah, I think the rest of the schedule is going to be the same as last time. One thing that we did this year was we flipped the race order on race day so that the pros, actually the fastest guys, were going first in the beginning. And the goal with that is that our race videos, our race replay videos, we want to get out that day. We ran into some software issues with our timing system at TTC. And, it's the first race of the year. It's the first USAC race of any downhill race in the country. And Zone 4, the timing partner that we use, had done a ton of software updates on the back end of their timing system over the winter and haven't used it for a downhill mountain bike race since they did those updates. So it's primarily designed for skiing. And when we plugged in our start lists, we were just running into a bunch of issues, and TTC doesn't have any phone service either. So we ended up, just having like some delays we had all the times. Obviously they're all on the back end. We have them, but on seating, we didn't announce them live. And then during the race, we weren't able to get them to the video team quick enough to be able to put that video out that night. But we've since rectified all that. Our team did the timing for Tennessee National and solved all of those issues. There was no problems at all at Tennessee National. So we believe that we should be able to get that video out by the end of the day, and that's the reason why we run it fastest to slowest instead of the other way around on race day. It's a little bit anticlimactic, I guess, for people. It's always cool when the fastest guy goes last at the end of the race, but with the goal of trying to grow the sport with these videos, I think it's a good compromise that we're making. And as a rider, like I loved it. I raced TTC and I was done by 11:30. I could watch some of the other guys race, casually pack up my tent, have the rest of the day to get home. Where a lot of bigger races, you're not even racing until late afternoon, and then packing up after that. So I thought it worked pretty well.
Nice. And speaking of that race day schedule, riders can still expect podium ceremonies to be directly after their entire group finishes, right?
That's the plan. So we'll
Gotcha.
do the pros right away. That way, the guys can get away and start editing the video. It's crunch time for them. Like, they've filmed this whole race, and we don't have the budget to do a live cut, but they're gonna go back with all the footage they have, get that downloaded, get it organized, and start cutting the race, which will come out a few hours later. So we'll do the pros right away, and then after that, we'll try to do the Cat 1s and then the Cat 2, 3s, and I'm not sure exactly what the splits will be when we'll put a break in for the podium, but it's always nice that way. People that are on the podium don't have to wait till the very end of the race.
Yep, and we'll definitely keep everybody abreast on site as that unfolds for the podiums. And I know you said it could be a little anticlimactic because the pros aren't at the end, but the series is so deep that I know there's going to be some storylines in both Group B and C, especially now since we're 2 races in. So we'll have some folks trying to defend that win. So very much looking forward to race day, and I'm looking forward to actually being back on site since I wasn't at TTC. So. Yeah, we'll see what kind of hype we can bring to finals on Sunday.
Awesome.
And yeah, everyone do note that track walk on Thursday. I saw that, Nico, and I mean, I know that you know from your experience that getting that track walk in the day before is just really nice to clear your head and kind of have that process. So you've got that track walk the day before, you can start visualizing that night and then just be ready to rip Friday practice.
Sure, and also like I totally appreciate that this is a regional series, so people may not be able to get there on Thursday for track walk,
Yeah.
but with the rest of the races in our series, there's two courses. So after your practice or before, the track will be open. It'll be clear. So you can go up there without your bike, walk down the other course. And if there's some areas that are merges, like this one at Rock Creek is pretty much separate the whole way. But if on any of them, there's some merge sections, just be respectful to riders. But it's totally fine that people are walking the track outside of their practice time just to get a look at it if they can't get there the day before.
Well, so folks have made it to Rock Creek. This might be their first time in the area. What kind of amenities are nearby as far as restaurants or other things for folks to do or lodging options?
Yeah, so Hendersonville is the closest town. Hendersonville is about 15 minutes away from Rock Creek. So if anybody's looking, that's going to be your hub for places to stay, restaurants, grocery store, anything you need that way. Look near Hendersonville. There's a campground actually right next door to Rock Creek. It's called Rock Creek Campground. It's not associated with us, but we called it Rock Creek because it's on Rock Creek Road. It's the name of the area. So you can look into those guys. They may be full at this point. We're a week out, but that'll be your closest place available for camping. But yeah, Hendersonville is your main place to go. And Henderson County supports what we do a lot. They're very proud to have our venue in their county. So it's good when people can come and visit our bike park. They spend money in the local economy. The Hendersonville Tourism Department sees a return on helping us to build the bike park. So it's awesome that people support the local area.
Good stuff. Yeah, they're going to get a lot of support this year. I know we're going to talk about that at the end of the show today. So parking, you mentioned that there's a huge expansive parking area kind of at the bottom of the venue in the pastures. Talk a little bit about the parking setup and what folks can expect to do as they kind of transition from the parking area up to the race venue for the shuttles.
So we have currently about 12 acres of parking. The pastures at the bottom were cow fields, and the farmer who lives across the road was leasing it from the previous owner. And instead of just kicking his cows off because he didn't have any place to go with them, and he's a pretty old fella, so we just split the parking lot so we could keep the cows on part of the field, and we have plenty of parking that way. Since if anyone was at the test race last year, we didn't have the bridge in at that point, and the river crossing was pretty tough for some people, but we've since put in a bridge. It's super mellow. Anybody can get across it. So the parking is all free. We have plenty of grass space available for parking. We have three main fields, one on the other side of the river as you pull in, that right off the road. There's a pretty big parking area there. And that'll probably be the overflow because it's the furthest away. When you go across the bridge to the right, that's probably the biggest field, and that'll be like general parking. And then across the bridge to the left, which is the main parking area where most people go throughout the weekend, we're going to be using that for pit space this weekend. For the first time at Downhill Southeast, we've asked people to register for a pit space, more so because we need to practice it and dial that in for national champs later this year. So I made it really cheap. It's $25 for a 20 by 20 or $50 for a 20 by 40. That way, just for people that are serious. I didn't want it to be about making money off the pit, but I wanted just people that really needed it to reserve a space. And we're going to put those people in the front of the pit. We're going to have everything marked off by Thursday when people arrive. So it'll be painted on the ground, the border of your area that you've reserved. And then we'll have a stake in the ground with a sign with each team name on it. So you'll know where to go. We'll make a master map as well. So while that all marked off, that'll be the closest to the main part of the venue, the front of the parking lot. We'll have the premier pit spaces. And people who are booking a pit, they can do that on the registration site. And just below all the categories, it says tickets. And the two choices are the two pit sizes. And we just ask that that's the border that you're going to get. So whatever you want to put in that space, including a vehicle, book the space that you need. So it's not 20 by 20 plus a car next to it. It's like, if you want 20 by 20, that's a car, and a 10 by 20 tent. So just book your space for us, and we'll do a good job of having it all neatly organized, and it'll be nice for the people who need that. But if you don't need it, then there's plenty of free places to park that are only, a couple 100 feet further away.
Nice. I'd expect nothing less from Downhill Southeast. That sounds like a pro pit setup. A little bit more than just a test setup.
Yeah, normally I just try to keep it relaxed. It's a regional race. I don't really require people to plan the pits and everything. It's kind of just like, hey, just come, don't take it too seriously, park wherever you want, set up a tent if you need to. But as we're trying to get dialed for national champs, this is a good chance for the team at Rock Creek to get prepared for that. That's why we're trying to take this a little more seriously.
Awesome. Yeah, super exciting. And speaking about getting things dialed for national champs, because I'm sure a lot of folks are coming to Downhill Southeast next weekend to get a preview of the terrain and some of the tracks. Let's talk about the tracks we'll be racing on for round 2 at Downhill Southeast. Maybe start with the amateur track. Is this a similar layout to what we saw at the test event for the amateur racers in November of last year?
Yeah, so the 2 tracks are going to be the same layout as what we saw at the test event. We are making some modifications to them, try to update them, make them more interesting, more fun, improve small improvements. So the Cat 2-3 course will be tumbleweed. That's a pretty fun single track trail. It's high speed. It was built with an excavator, but it has a narrow feel to it, and it's right next to the pro track. So it's convenient that those 2 tracks are going to be the 2 courses being used. Currently it goes into the Big Baby jump line at the bottom, and I'm not sure if we'll be able to get this done in time, but our goal is to make a new line from the end of tumbleweed down to the finish, primarily so that we could keep Big Baby open for free riding. That's like one of our only jump lines, and people coming to ride that weekend or during nationals will like to hit that line. It's a fun one. So we'd like to leave that open and build a new final section that's more natural and single track that kind of mirrors the bottom of tumbleweed and goes into the downhill finish. But I'm not sure, like we've got a lot of jobs up this next week to get ready. So that's kind of like the last one on the list, because the Big Baby jump line is super fun. It's great for the race. The only downside is that it kind of closes it off for the weekend. But that'll be the course for Cat 2-3. And then for the pro Cat 1 course will be Stampede. That's the track that I built last year. It's kind of a test track for us here in Western North Carolina. Since the race last year, it's got pretty bedded in, so it's running fast. There hasn't been a ton of changes since then, but this week we're doing a lot of modifications to it. Pretty much the whole way down, we're just making small changes here and there. Where we have the track, where we have speed, we're trying to add a couple turns to make it more technical. Where some lines have become pretty mainline and one line, we're trying to switch it up a little bit. We have a bunch of boulders that we got from building the road that we brought up to the track to even add more man-made rock stuff, and try to not give it too man-made of a feel. I appreciate that man-made rocks are not the most fun thing to ride, but we're trying to put them in a way that it's a test and it makes a technical racetrack. So there's going to be a bunch of new stuff there. And then we've modified the finish bowl area as well. We needed space for the dual slalom track at national champs. So that is going to be built over the next month, and that will actually finish where the last jump was and the finish line was for the test event. And we've shifted the last jump over pretty much just one track width to the left, closer to the pond. Which makes the last jump better, actually. It'll have a full depth landing instead of being kind of a step up to a pad. It'll be a little bigger of a jump, but with a straighter run in, and it'll drop the landing completely down to the lower level than the takeoff. So it'll be a proper jump, give you a nice pump down the backside. And then we built a new finish bowl just by the dam of the lake. So that'll add a little distance to the track. It'll make it drop a little bit more elevation. And the goal with that was really just to get it ready for nationals. And this weekend's a good chance again to test it, but also getting it done in advance this far allows us to like plant grass and everything next to it, let it all grow in. So that way come July, everything's all ready to go.
Nice. Yeah, I can't wait to see that new finish line jump because riders were getting, I mean, plenty sideways at the test event, but it sounds like there's going to be more speed and, yeah, even more opportunity for these racers to show some style at the finish.
Yeah.
And speaking of the racers, let's talk a little bit about who is already registered for the round next weekend. And I will go ahead and say that the Go Reggie site is incredibly intuitive to go find who's racing in each category. All you've got to do is go to the registration site, click on the class that you want to see the folks registered, and then there's an option that just says view participants down in the bottom left of that box. So yeah, it's really easy to get in there, see who's registered. Nico, I went ahead and took a look at the pro women, and we've got 5 riders registered so far. I'm sure a few more will trickle in, but it's an extremely quality group from what I'm seeing. Abby Ronka is on the registration list, winner of round 1 and our series champ from last year. Shell Peugeot on the list as well. She had 3 wins last season. And Riley Miller is on the start list, and that's a name that some folks that follow the greater U.S. downhill are going to be familiar with. She's the 2-time junior women's national champion, actually had the second fastest time of the day in 2021 at Winter Park, so she would have been second in elite had she been in elite. And Riley also got a win at the Costa Rica Open in elite women earlier this year. So she's out of Vermont, traveling with the Killington Mountain School. And yeah, those are 3 solid ladies in the field. But we've also got a special guest coming down. Nico, if you want to tell us a little bit more about the 2017 world champion, Miranda Miller, who's going to be in town for the race.
Yeah, Miranda Miller's coming down, which is awesome. She's doing a lot with SRAM directly this year, and SRAM's the title sponsor for our series. I think it's her own video production company that she's been running. I don't know a ton of information about it, but she's coming with a filmer to make a video about grassroots racing on behalf of SRAM. And she reached out a couple months ago saying that she was planning on doing this, and this was the race of our series that she could make it to. And it's awesome what she's doing. She does a lot for the sport. She's going to race herself and just talk about how our series fits into the world of mountain biking. So that's really special. And she's also bringing some cool prizes. I didn't expect that or ask for it. She was the one who came up with the idea to bring a boxer fork for each the fastest amateur man and woman, and $500 from her production company. So you'll get both of those if you're set the fastest time of any non-pro male female racer.
Nice. That's going to be really exciting. Stoked to see Miranda out there and see what she thinks about Downhill Southeast. Well, let's roll over to the men and take a look at who's already registered. And we got some heavy hitters on the list. We've got 3 of the top 5 finishers from round number 1 at TTC in the field. Lucas Dodora, who is a young man. Really, I mean, I think Lucas is 16 this year. He was 5th at TTC, and he's racing for pro builds on a transition this year. We've got Dylan Conti in the field, who's the coach for the Killington Mountain School. He was 4th at the Trials Training Center. And Jack Peterson is going to lace it up at Rock Creek. He was 3rd at the TTC, and I know Jack had a huge crash in the race at the Tennessee National, and I know he was trying to make some noise amongst those big names, so I'm sure Jack will be fired up. Any other folks, Nico, that are kind of on your radar? I see Walker Shaw's on the list. I would assume he goes pretty fast at his local bike park.
Yeah, he's been riding and coaching out there a lot, so Walker's he's gonna be a threat for sure on this course. And then, of course, all my pals that never register until probably after registration's closed and then send a message will be Aaron Gwynn's going to be coming out and racing. So obviously he needs no introduction. It'll be a pleasure to have him racing our series. Lucas Shaw is going to be racing in it. Who else? I think Asa Vermette, the kid who's riding my frames this year. He's 16 years old, out of Durango, Colorado, the 16 and under national champ. he was fourth in pro at the U.S. Open, actually third in pro. I was fourth. He beat me.
Yeah.
So he'll be out. He raced the test race as well. So those are three pretty heavy hitters that'll for sure be in the show. Yeah, unfortunately, Crispy's going to be out in France with his team, getting ready for the pre-race in Lourdes. They have the ESO test event. Luca worked it out so he could do downhill southeast and fly the next day, but Specialized Gravity has Crispy out there in plenty of time in advance. And then obviously I can't ride, so Crispy and I will be out, but I think it'll be a good battle between all these guys that'll be racing this weekend. Gwyn and Luca will be neck and neck at the front of the field, I believe.
Nice. And I'll throw in two West Coast names that are going to be here as well. Ryan Pinkerton, our current junior national champ, saw him on the registration list. He's riding for GT Factory Racing. He's got a ton of international experience. And I saw Austin Dooley on the list, fresh off a podium at Tennessee National. So you're right. It's going to be a battle to get on those top three steps.
Tyler Irvin's coming too. He's been crushing it this year. He had a really good result at the Tennessee National, and I raced with him down at Costa Rica, the Costa Rica Open, and I put two good runs together in my quali and race runs, and he was like just a half a second off of me each time. And I know I've raced there a few times, so I'm pretty comfortable on that course. So I was impressed with Tyler. He was riding really fast. He's been riding really fast this season. Made some big improvements since last year, so he'll be in the mix. It'll be a really stacked field. It's gonna be an exciting video to watch for this post-race video.
Yeah, it is. And the top 8 make the live show. So yeah, it's going to be a battle in seating because everybody knows what it takes to make it on the show. So make sure to dial in those lines for seating because that's worth a little bit more than it used to be.
For sure.
Well, let's quickly touch on some of the upcoming events. After we get through this coming weekend's race at Rock Creek, we actually have 2 downhill southeast races in May. We've got Windrock Round May 5th through 7th, and then the Mountain Creek Round combined with the national race at Mountain Creek Memorial Day weekend, May 26th through 28th. So those will be here before we know it.
Yeah, I bet Windrock will be another big one. Like this one, we already have a lot of people signed up. This is going to be a big race. People want to do it because it's nationals and it's also springtime, not anything else going on. So this one's going to be big. But I believe Windrock will be as well. It'll be a good chance for the same guys, like the pros in the area, to do another preseason test race about a month out from the first World Cup. So I expect Windrock to be a pretty competitive race. And then Mountain Creek as well. I'm not sure how many of the top pro guys will be here still or will be going over to Europe by then. That one's about 2 weeks out from the first World Cup. But we were able to work out the deal with Mountain Creek to combine with their national. Once national champs at Rock Creek was announced, our date the weekend before it wasn't as desirable of a weekend. I couldn't imagine a lot of people driving. Our core riders are in the southeast from Central Virginia to Georgia. So I couldn't imagine those people really wanting to drive all the way to Jersey and back with practice for national champs coming up midweek that next week. So we made the move to either we couldn't find another date that worked with all the other races going on. And it was either going to be canceling it or merging with that race. And I was able to talk Mountain Creek into merging it, and I think it's really the best thing for the riders. A lot of people, they want to do that race. Everyone who went last year said it was the most common response that it was their favorite round of all the people I asked. It was also the most painful round because it was the furthest drive for our core riders, but the people who did make the trip loved it. It's an awesome bike park. There's tons of other trails to ride. The lift's super fast. It's just a cool place. So being able to combine that with their national where people can make one trip and get both races out of it, I think really was the best thing for the riders.
Yeah, it turned out well because I've got friends that raced the series that were going to do both. They were like, well, we want to go back to the national Mountain Creek as well. So they were going to make 2 trips up to Jersey. So yeah, I think it all worked out very well. And that's a perfect segue for the last topic we wanted to hit before we close out this podcast. And that is, just a little discussion, little preview for national champs at Rock Creek coming up in July. I actually got the dates right here, July 11th through 16th. So yeah, anything you want to share? I know you said the slalom track is going to be underway in the next few weeks. The whole finish bowl is getting reworked. We'll get a taste of that this coming weekend.
Yeah, these downhill courses that we'll be racing this weekend will be a test of what we'll use. The goal is to get them as close as we can this weekend, but you never know until you have a race on them how they're going to ride in. So we'll pay close attention to how they work this weekend and make any necessary changes for national champs, but they'll be very close. The dual slalom will be in the next month. We'll be working on that, and it's going to be kind of just as you're riding down the downhill track to the right, so kind of near the cabin there. And the goal with that was we want to make a trail so that people, when they're free riding in the bike park, can pull off to the start of the dual slalom track and be able to ride it in the bike park. So it gets more use, and it's just, we're going to spend a lot of time and effort on that track. It'd be cool if people can ride it more than just pushing up for the slalom race. So that's in the works. And then we're also working on the enduro tracks. We own the property on the back of Rock Creek as well. And we're working on a bunch of stages back there that'll kind of be in the backcountry zone, as well as a climbing trail in the back. So we'll have the majority of the race self-sustained on the back of the mountain. Riders can climb up one climbing trail and do, I'm not sure yet, 3 to 5 stages back there, in addition to 1 or 2 in the bike park. So we're working on all those tracks, and yeah, we'll have them ready for nationals. But really the big thing is be on the lookout for opportunities to volunteer. We need a lot of volunteers from parking, course marshals, help with registration. It's a big ask on the community for an event this size to come, and there's going to be opportunities in the near future for people to sign up for volunteer slots throughout the week. So if anyone's able, we have an awesome mountain bike community here in Western North Carolina. We're going to look to Sorba, the big brands like Fox, and others in the area, who can come out and lend some hands to help us run the race. So we don't have it set up at the moment, but in the next month we'll be reaching out. We'll be posting opportunities to volunteer. So if people have a chance, keep an eye out for that.
Awesome. Yeah. I'll second that on the call for volunteers. This is going to be an event that, we'll talk about for decades, having national championships right here in Western North Carolina. So if you're able to, being a volunteer and being a part of making this event happen, you're going to be a part of, really the mountain bike history in the area. So definitely keep your eyes out for the signups. And Nico, I'll say that I'm extremely excited about dual slalom for this national championships, just because I've announced national champs since 2017, I think, and you always get these really cool local battles. Like in Winter Park, there was this guy Peter Honeck that was like the Masters wizard, so in the 35 plus category, and everybody's trying to beat Peter. I actually think he was a former pro four-cross racer back in the day. But we've got a strong Masters scene in Western North Carolina, and I can see some real grudge matches going down on the slalom track. So if you're listening to this podcast, get those little bikes tuned up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be really exciting. We got a lot of people. It used to be so strong back in the day, and there was the Norbas here. We had nationals at Beach. Actually, I have the medal from the last time that it was in North Carolina. I've got the gold from Beach. I don't think I'll be racing slalom even if I can ride again. Just it's so specialized now to focus on each discipline, but it's going to be super exciting. I think people should look at that slalom race. We're working with USA Cycling to make the schedule possible that you can do every discipline. But yeah, on our side, the course is going to be sick. So after that, it's up to you guys to sign up and do battle.
Nice. And I will touch real quick on the potential national champs schedule. I just think it's going to be a special national champs. It's just gravity this year at Rock Creek, and I love having cross country and gravity events together. The World Cup at Snowshoe's got a special vibe because everybody's there in one place. But for folks that have been at national champs the past few years, it's a challenge to do all those different disciplines over 1 week and make the schedules work so that gravity racers can potentially race multiple events. So I think folks are going to be really pleased with how this gravity only nationals is going to work out. And of course, the crew at Rock Creek is going to take a lot of pride in putting these courses together. So, yeah, excited to get some racing, some testing on these tracks this weekend, and then of course, July has a big circle on my calendar, and can't wait for that.
Yeah, it definitely allows us to do a better job of each discipline, splitting endurance and gravity. So we're proud to host the gravity side, and I know Bear Creek up in Pennsylvania. I actually grew up 30 minutes from there. I used to snowboard there when I was a kid after school. They're going to do a great job with cross country. So I'm glad we can each host our respective discipline.
Well, good stuff, Nico. Thank you so much for your time. It sounds like everything's lining up for a great round number 2 at Ride Rock Creek. Again, the dates are April 14th through 16th. That's Friday through Sunday. And all this information we just went over is on the Downhill Southeast website, registration through goreggie.com. And yeah, we hope to see everybody out there. Anything else, Nico?
I think that covers it. Registration closes Tuesday at midnight, so make sure you sign up online. We don't have on-site registration at any of our races. It's there's a lot of people racing nowadays. There's a lot that goes into building the start lists and being ready with these practice splits. So it's hard to plan a party when you don't know how many people are coming. So we ask that everybody just, you're going to pay to race anyway, sign up in advance. It allows us to do a better job on our side. So registration closes Tuesday midnight. Make sure you get registered before then.
Awesome. And I'd be remiss not to put a plug for the SRAM replay show that's on the Downhill Southeast YouTube channel. So if you're watching or listening to this podcast, you're just one click away from rewatching the TTC episode to get you hyped up for round number 2 at Rock Creek. So
Absolutely.
With that, Nico, I'm excited to see you. Glad to hear that you're doing a lot better, and we'll see you next weekend at Rock Creek.
All right. Thanks, Will. See you guys at the race.
Yeah.